It is not always necessary to use chains to enforce obedience. In disguise, it is sometimes shown to you. Being bold isn't something you were born with. You were never hesitant to make a decision. You were not made to beg for favors. So you were instructed to. They instilled in you the value of conformity. It was instilled in you to fear being rejected more than feeling regret. You weren't rewarded for being up, but for being pleasant. And that is what you knew. You mastered the art of subduing your gaze rather than raising your voice. You picked up the habit of grinning whenever you felt wrong. Rules were imposed on you without ever being explained, and you learned to obey them. Through the use of quiet, isolation, and the implied danger that one would be labeled, disregarded, or erased if they venture too far from a norm, rather than physical force. It starts like that, rather than violently, by gradually eroding, in a non-violent, clandestine manner. If incarceration can make people afraid of being free, then society doesn't need it. It doesn't require walls when it can persuade you that doing the right thing entails never doubting the very definition of good. Obedience is produced in this way. A script is provided to you. Show respect. Maintain silence. Keep it simple. Land a job. Contingent status. Keep your inquiries to a minimum. Maintain the status quo. Stay within the boundaries set by your upbringing. Simply said, it will frighten them if you do. And if you frighten them, they'll do their best to make you smaller. People will accuse you of being dangerous, ungrateful, conceited, overbearing, and arrogant. You aren't just because you've suddenly realized that your life is about who you are. Psychoria, the euphoria of group delusion. Scrolling across the pages makes you feel it. Every time you overspend on unnecessary items or pretend to be happy when you're actually choked, you add to the cacophony around you while leaving you hungry for the truth. In the middle of it all, yet completely detached from who you are, amused but never given agency. That is what happens when people blindly follow orders. Thinkers are not wanted by them. They desire a following. They are not interested in power. For them, stability is paramount. Stability like theirs. Prosperity based on your compliance. The appearance of liberty yields better results than the imposition of coercion. As long as they feel comfortable doing so, they will allow you to speak. Assuming the choices are identical, they allow you to cast your vote. As long as your dreams don't disrupt their economy, they'll let you dream. So long as it doesn't compromise the design, you can be anyone you want to be. Now for the worst part. They educate you to do self-policing. Before anyone else does, you muzzle your own speech. Before anyone can criticize it, you scale back your desire. You control your gut feelings before they escalate into troublesome, since you've probably internalized the idea that complying is the key to staying alive. It did, in many respects. You learned as a kid that being quiet kept the peace, that pleasing other people meant you were safe, and that being good meant you could blend in. Yet you're obviously not a kid anymore. Despite this, you continue to bow down in submission to institutions, rules, and expectations that were never put in place to protect your liberty. The battlefield is one's mindset, and one's belief is one's weapon. If they have the power to influence your self-perception, they will never need to rein in your behavior lest you end up doing it all for them. A sense of self-worth based on output will permeate your mind. You think sleeping is being lazy. You think you need to prove your worth every day through your accomplishments, your wealth, or your obedience. The cage will start to feel more like home to you. Imagine a necklace made of a leash. That exhaustion is admirable. Burnout is a sign of success. However, one's beliefs do not constitute the truth. Faith is the code. Furthermore, you are free to revise it. To be clear is to rebel. In order to perceive the unseen bars, to identify the manipulation, it becomes clear that the status quo is not inherent. It is crafted. If this world doesn't accept you, it doesn't mean you're broken. Because you were never meant to fit here, this planet is in shambles. Your time will be divided, occupied, and eventually drained by its design. The mind of a weary traveler does not question. An undistracted spirit does not oppose. It is simpler to govern a divided people. That is how you will be groomed to be submissive without your knowledge. When you break it, It's with vision. In order to envision possibilities beyond their model. In order to desire more than what is permissible to express verbally. Yes, you will incur costs. Simplicity is key. Loss of comfort is inevitable. You risk not being approved. Feeling like you belong will fade away. What, though, do you win? You benefit from it. You acquire your backbone, your spirit, and your independence. Also, realizing you're not a machine gives you an unwavering confidence. It is not your job to serve. Keep out of my business. Who are you? A powerful creator. Their design prioritizes expansion above obedience. You are drawn out by your purpose. Not at all. Meaning they bestowed upon you, rather than accolades, positions, or renown. A genuine purpose, the sort that keeps you up at night, the kind that stirs deep within you, the kind that is self-validating, needs no further evidence of its existence. The enchantment starts to break as soon as you re-establish your connection to that aim. You cease to seek directions. You give up looking for indications. You realize you were never meant to fit in, and you quit putting off your destiny any longer. You were supposed to be awake. Getting out of bed isn't easy either. This is not as the sun rises peacefully through the linen drapes. Everything you previously held dear in your pursuit of truth has crumbled and burst. Within your professional life, you will observe it. A wall in which you have no faith props up the ladder you have been clambering up. Relationships will reveal it to you. The individuals you choose to spend time with are important. Your soul is more important than your quiet. It's going to show up in your habits. Every morning, you knowingly enter the prison that was once meant to provide meaning through your routines. Because reawakening does not entail including previously unknown realities. Old illusions are dying a die. The community at large. Illusion is its lifeblood. Your lack of attention allows it to flourish. The idea that you will blindly follow the road without ever doubting it is fundamental to its survival. Discipline is a tool for personal growth, not a means to gain external validation. Not the type that gets system praise. Strengthening one's spirit through such experiences. Cognitive discipline. Boundary discipline. Discipline to be silent while the herd is yelling at you to do otherwise. Due to the fact that submission thrives in the presence of others. But it is not uncommon for freedom to travel alone. Without distractions, you must confront yourself. Sitting in the reverberation of your own voice and asking, "Do I even know who I am when I'm not performing?" is both a daunting and sacred task, because it is in that moment, in asking, that you encounter your authentic self. The one concealed beneath an abundance of anticipation, conditioning, and dread. They instilled in you a fear of being alone, and you will understand their point when you encounter that version. Reason being alone helps you rediscover. Route to gut feelings, to instinct, to an immutable, unquantifiable, and unmanageable source. Doing something turns into a rebellion. Subdued and understated. Chaotic motion, but motion that is exact, deliberate, and unmovable. The kind that doesn't wait for applause. Those that can be enjoyed alone. The kind that doesn't bother to check for permission. Rather than seeking approval, you should begin to embody it. The message is your life. The protest is your alignment. A danger emerges from your tranquility. For the simple reason that nothing terrifies a preferable system built on control to a spirit that is no longer afraid of losing it. When you stop needing their reward, they let go of you. When the truth triumphs over their lies, they are unable to maintain their grip. Gratitude becomes your armor as soon as you stand up and say, "I see you and I choose me," then their influence will fade. Being grateful is not enough. Not the sort that says, "I'll stay because at least I have something," rather, the kind that says, "I am thankful for what I have, but I will not shrink to keep it being grateful for." The precision. Your shakeup has my gratitude. Thank goodness for the pain that roused you from your slumber. For each betrayal served to hone your intuition. New truths could emerge with each rejection. With each setback, you lost touch with the aspects of yourself that were never genuine. Plus, that is not a lovely form of appreciation. That's brutal. It feels great. Just remember, Defeat isn't the end of the world. We're cutting down trees. We're not slashing your wings. Something more authentic is being shaped out of you. You can turn adaptability into a weapon, lacking the type of flexibility. Someone drilled into you the importance of conforming to social norms, even if it means distorting the truth. To fit in with society, you cease to adapt. Society begins to conform to your inner self. Building systems that celebrate life rather than profit requires you to invent, examine, and construct. Your unpredictability makes you a threat. You're not controllable anymore. Among them, you are now no more. These days, you're totally different. You're wide awake. Plus, a dying system fears no one more than an observer who can decipher its lies and persist. Love your way. Keep your speech simple. Keep building while others follow your lead, and keep moving with purpose. Because of their attempts to set you back, resilience becomes your rock. Sometimes coerced, more frequently burdened by shame. Since you've transformed and are now so challenging, I don't understand why you can't return to your normal self. Because it makes them think of how stuck they are, they will feel embarrassed by your growth. Revert back to your former self. That you're still here. Having a child is painful, but this version is real and happening right now. Every time. It will test your limits, hurt your heart, and ultimately make you prioritize independence over conformity, truth over tradition, and comfort above isolation. Something you've never experienced before lies beyond that agony, though. Unfiltered, unowned, and free you are. Be prepared to be a walking paradox. Quiet yet resounding. Stable yet wild. Sympathetic yet no longer submissive. As you pass familiar landmarks and hear familiar voices, you can start to feel like an outsider because you don't know a soul. Outside of the machine's purview. Here and now is where you belong. Everything shifts the second you find your true identity again. You are now fully charged. Time stops bleeding for you now. Unseen rulers can no longer control your life. Your ideas, your life's trajectory, and your very being are all built by you. Finally, this is the reality. You never exhibited genuine obedience. All you felt was fear, desperate to avoid censure, terrified to stand alone, terrified to be seen. You can't live your life in terror. It serves as a cautionary tale, an educator, and a gatekeeper. As soon as you go through it, the truth will sink in. The thought that you required a cage was the only thing that ever held you back. You are not meant to be obeyed. You have come to change. Therefore, at last, change completely and violently. The moment you undergo a transformation, it becomes impossible to undo. Taking a seat at the old table is no excuse to return to it. You don't return to roles that demand your undivided attention. You can't put out a fire. In order to ignite, you had to endure hell on foot. Your perspective has shifted. Sedation obscures the eye's ability to discern conditioning, manipulate, and detect the mask of safety. You suddenly become unstoppable as you speak a new language that values truth over comfort, depth above distraction, and liberty over illusion. You are unbreakable, not because you are unbeatable, but because you are one. Nobody or nothing can break you now. Everyone else will miss you if you stand out. You are not defined by their opinions. You have grown into an entire person, not just a piece of art in a fear-based playhouse. You have totality. Of course you are. The way you're lovely makes you dangerous. Now that you know the script was never really yours to begin with, you refuse to play by its rules. It was passed down to you like an heirloom by the culture, the institutions, and the terrified individuals who learned obedience the hard way. However, you have come to end that bloodline. Don't come here expecting to inherit pain. You have arrived to cut it short. Continuing the practice of sacrificing oneself in order to gain acceptance is not your purpose here. There's no turning back now that you're here. They can refer to you as the enigmatic sheep. They can claim you became disoriented. The truth is that you discovered something much more valuable than their approbation. You came into your own. Someone who isn't obligated to put on a show. Someone who disregards signals. A person who refrains from asking, "Is it okay to be me now?" has reached a point where they no longer need to ask, hope, shrink, or play by rules that were never meant to lead them to freedom. Instead, they have remembered the internal compass that points inward, always inward, to the sacred territory, and they no longer need to be led. No system can conquer you like learning can. Not the stuff you study in school or memorize for tests. This kind of learning rewires your entire being. You begin to unlearn everything they taught you about power, success, love, and worth. You discover that success isn't about hierarchy, but about harmony. Love isn't about sacrifice, but about sovereignty. And worth isn't earned, but remembered. This is the education you were never given. It's the curriculum of awakening. And once you begin, there's no turning back. Your life has transformed into a practice of conscious rebellion. Not against people, but against the unconsciousness that numbed you for years. You become a beacon, not by force, but by resonance. Those still asleep feel the discomfort of your presence, because something in you reminds them of the freedom they buried. They will call you when you wake up. Every conversation becomes a test. Every room is a mirror. Every moment is a choice. Obedience or soul. You no longer fear the question. You welcome it, because your life is now a practice of conscious rebellion. Not against people, but against the unconsciousness. You embrace it. You were not meant to blend in or dilute. Rather, you were meant to disrupt the silence, speak what others suppress, build what others only dream of, and become what they said was impossible. You are a soul fully awake in a world that was meant to keep you asleep. Now you stand at the edge of everything they warned you to fear, but you realize it was never about fear. It was about being free. Wear your freedom like armor. It was all about control. But now it's over. From now on, you live free, unattached to the mental manipulation matrix, refusing to give up your passion for their formula. You see through their mask and rise higher, love deeper, build taller, and breathe deeper than ever before. Nothing is more sacred than this. Your own mind, heart, and spirit, not edited or bowing to anyone. This isn't rebellion, but remembering and being free. At last, fully liberated. All the time,